Hey everyone, Thomas here. It's been a while since I've done a hand video, and I didn't bring an iPhone stand, so yes, I am literally just leaning my iPhone up against a Diet Coke bottle. Anyways, I'm here at GFest. This is the final day for GFest for me. I know it goes on for 3 days, but I'm only in Chicago for 2 days. Yesterday was the first day of GFest. I was there. It was a lot of fun. And today is the final day for GFest, at least for me. Anyways, this video is basically just an excuse for me to show off what I got at GFest. So, yeah. So, we're gonna start off with day one's haul. So, yeah, let's get into it. So, at number one, we have Gorosaurus. This is a figure I've been looking forward to for a while. I couldn't find it on eBay or Amazon, or at least at a decent price. But here, I got it for $20, which I'd say is pretty good. Real quick, I just want to thank the vendor who supplied, I think, all of these figures to me. James Bond, ZillaBond at yahoo.com, Michael James Bond. Anyways, I'm not sponsored by them, but they were a big help in getting these figures. So, yeah. But yeah, here we have Gorosaurus. I really like this figure. I think my only problem is the way the legs are shaped. Because sometimes it won't stand up right without the tail on the ground. Of course, as soon as I say this, it does the problem. It does not do the problem I said it was, because the figure wants to make me look bad. Anyways, let's move on from that guy. So next we have Anime Gamera. This is the version of Gamera from the anime. I think it looks really cool. This is probably the thickest Gamera we've ever had, and it looks really cool. I really like the blue accents. The hand, as for articulation, I forgot to go through it with Gorosaurus. He can't really move his head. His tail's on a swivel, his legs are on a swivel, and so are his arms. Anyways, on to Gamera. He has even more limited articulation, which I'm fine with. I don't really buy Godzilla Bandai figures for their articulation. I buy them because they look really cool together. So as for articulation, we have rotation at both of his wrists, nothing at the legs, and his tail can wag back and forth. But it's very limited because of the way the shell is shaped. And I really like the look of the shell. It's very knockable, and that head sculpt is really nice. So that was Gamera. Orga. This is also a figure I've been looking forward to for a long time, and again, I couldn't find it for a while because even if it was at a good price, the back part would be missing. Because if you don't notice, because if you haven't noticed yet, these are two different pieces. Like, there's a very obvious seam, which kind of bugs me because if you look, it doesn't line up all that great sometimes. Yeah, there, and that kind of triggers my OCD a little bit. Another problem I have with this figure, because I'm pretty sure this was a pre-used figure, is some of the joints are very weak, like mainly in the leg. Like the legs are very, the legs are very weak. They're very easily twisted. But this figure, I think, has the most articulation out of all the figures I've bought. So, here, he has articulation at his big hands. We have articulation at the legs, they're on a swivel. And same with the tail, it can swivel too. But yeah, that's Gamera. Not Gamera, that's Orga. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but this video is not exactly scripted. Alright, so on to the day 2 stuff. So the figures I literally bought today. So let's get coming in. At number 4, we have another Gamera. I think this is based off of the Heisei Gamera movies. I don't know, I haven't seen them. I hear they're really good, like better than the Heisei Godzilla movies. But I haven't seen them. I don't know. Should I? I don't know. Leave it in the description. Yeah, I have 2 Gamera figures. And combined with the other one, the hard plastic one, like the really hard plastic one that I have at home, I have more figures of Gamera than I do of Godzilla. I don't know why. I just really like Gamera's design. Not as much as Godzilla's design, although Godzilla's design does just change a little more than Gamera's because there's not that much Gamera content for you Gamera fans. But yeah, I just really like this figure. My only problem with it is the arms. The arms look fine in this position, but the problem is that's the only time they look fine. Like, if you twist them even a little bit, like, it doesn't look that great. Like, you can see there's a very obvious mold mark. I think what they did was they had like a mold where they poured in the plastic or whatever they do to make these figures, and the arms were originally attached to the figure, but they cut them off because there's like a little bit of an awkward gap. And now whenever you turn the figure, it looks really awkward whenever the arms are anyway. But I'll take what I can get. As for articulation, there is articulation at the head. It's very tight, and I don't recommend actually doing it because you might break it off. And you don't want to break your Gamera figure, right? And of course, previously mentioned at the arms. There's also some at the legs that are also kind of tight. And there's one at the tail, which I don't know if this is, but this looks really similar to the hard plastic Gamera figure tail that I have at home. I'm pretty sure this is a different mold, but it looks very similar, although I don't know why I'm comparing freaking turtle tails. Anyways, yeah, Legendary King Ghidorah. It's really cool. Now, I had a Legendary King Ghidorah figure, but that one of the wings broke because it was a friggin' Jack-specific piece of crap. But yeah, this figure is kind of a malleable plastic, but it's still hard. So this figure has absolutely no articulation, which I'm fine with because this pose is fine. My only problem with it is the difference in the head paint and the neck paint. Now, this probably isn't something a lot of you are going to notice because you're not going to display them directly from the back, but if you see, there is a very obvious difference in how the head is colored and how the necks are colored. Now, I don't know if this is the heads being made of a different plastic, which I think it is, or if it might just be the shading. But either way, it's a little distracting, but I can get around it. That and the wings are very, very uneven in some cases. Now, that's not like the worst I've ever seen, but it's not great. But overall, I think this figure's fine. There are a few problems that I have with it, obviously, but that's true with all these figures. But yeah, I really like this figure. On to the next we have Manda. Now, this is a figure that I just wanted because I wanted to have a Manda figure. Now, I think this is based off of his look in Final Wars. This is the one where he gets frozen and destroyed by the drill ship. I think it's called, like, the Gotengo or something. And I really like the look of this figure. As for articulation, that's it. Yeah, there is a seam line at his tail, but you can't twist that. I think that's more just a mold line. I really like the look of this figure. It's a little too brightly colored in my opinion. I think it really should have gone for a duller blue. Now, it doesn't show up quite as well on the camera, but it is a much lighter blue than it is. Now, another problem I have with it is the horns. Now, the horns normally would be attached to the head if my phone will focus. But you can see there's a very obvious seam line, and the paint just kind of stops around the part where the horns are. It's a little weird looking, but it's not going to ruin the figure for me. That, and there was a lot of unpainted plastic. Now, I don't think these, like, fin parts right here are the same color as him in the movie, but it's very obviously unpainted. I kind of wish they would have went for a different shade of blue for the fin parts, but, you know, I'll manage. Oh, that and the painting on the spikes just kind of stops on the 5th spike. But, that's really not enough for me to drag down my enjoyment of this figure. I really like it. Oh, the legs are just weird. Like, the legs are upside down. Now, that's not a problem with the figure itself. That's just the design. But it's a little weird looking. But, yeah, that's Manda, and I think he's pretty cool. Now, on to the final one. Anguirus. Now, this is the figure that I was most excited to get because I've always wanted an Anguirus figure, but none of them have been particularly good looking in my opinion. Now, I like the Showa Anguirus vinyl figure. Sorry about that. But I think the Final Wars design is just so much better. As for the painting on this figure is very solid. The underbelly is unpainted, which I think that is accurate to the movie. I think this is how he looks in the movie. Oh, look at him, he's getting belly rubs. But yeah, his stomach's very squishy. And as for this figure, this is probably the most malleable figure out of all of them. This figure is very squishy. The spikes are very good, and don't worry, you don't need to worry about poking your eye out, although maybe a little bit on the tail, that's a little pointy. It does look pretty dull, but it's kind of pointy. Anyways, I really like the look of this figure. As for articulation, his head is on a swivel. His arms are on a swivel. This arm is actually really loose again. These figures, I'm pretty sure, are pre-used. The tail is on a swivel. It's actually really tight and hard to get moving, but it is there. Then the back legs, which are at a really weird angle on the toes. I know it's supposed to look like his toes are kind of sweeping back, but it more looks like he just broke his foot. And I don't know, it kind of bugs me, but most people aren't really going to be displaying him from the side. He's mainly going to be posing him like this. But yeah, that is Anguirus, and that's the figure I was the most excited to get. And yeah, that is all the GFest figures that I got. Now, I know you might be saying, Thomas, this isn't that many figures. Well, these figures, despite that I described that James Bond here, sold me them relatively cheap. All of these combined together is still over 200 bucks. So, but I'd say 200 bucks for these figures that's a pretty good deal in my opinion. I think the most expensive figure here is the Orga one. That one was $75. So, yeah. However, I am pretty happy. Again, thank you to Radioactive Toys. I'm not sponsored by them. I just wanted to share the love, you know. But yeah, that is all for today. If you enjoyed this quick little mini vlog, please make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. I could really use the support, and I'll see you guys next time. This is ThomasTube signing in and out.